Hey guys, thanks for joining us on our first video staff meeting. I know a lot of you guys had other things to do and we just couldn't get everybody together. It's kind of hard with 19 people, but Kelsey and I are going to go over some things. The first thing that we wanted to address was the incidents that happened last week. Because of that, we kind of went through some things and we changed some things. We already had some ideas on we wanted to change a couple things and do things a little differently before that happened, but now it makes it even more pertinent that we do that. So anyhow, first thing is Morgan is doing a lot better. She's at home now. If you guys want to send her text, pictures of horses, stuff like that, I think she would enjoy that. She's doing good. She did not have to have surgery yet, so we're hoping and praying that that kind of heals itself. Zan's doing good too, just a little bit sore, so we're just thankful that they're both doing okay, and it could have been a lot worse than it was. So that being said, we did send Patriot back to his previous home. With having 2 incidents on his record, we didn't want that to be a liability to the center, and it was just the best decision for the center. We hated to see him go, but at the same time, that made us liable on a lot of areas, so we wanted to make sure that we were doing what was best for the center and what was best for him. So he is back at home where he came from, so if you guys are wondering about that, that's where he's at. As far as a horse data update goes, Patriot's the only one that's gone. Remedy is still here. I'm working on getting him home. Everybody else has weathered the storm, so to speak, over the holiday break. For those of you who don't know, Ringo did get tetanus. He has been vaccinated. It was just a random fluke accident that happened. We guess it was when he got his head cut open, but he did end up with tetanus. He was treated for it. He is not rideable yet. Do not work with him unless I ask you to, but he is a whole lot better. You can barely tell that he even had it. So the good news is that he survived that. He's here. He's doing good. We won't be able to use him for a while, though. So everybody else is doing pretty good. I think we should be good to go on everybody else. As far as horses go, let me know if there's anything that's out of the ordinary. I'm not saying that what happened with Patriot could have been prevented, that it's anybody's fault, anything like that. But if we know what's going on, if I know what's going on, maybe we can help these things from happening or something. So if there's anything that looks off to you, if there's anything that you're not comfortable with, anything like that, please let me know. If I'm not here, let Kelsey know and she'll let me know. If I don't know that there's a problem, we can't fix it. I've said that a million times. So we really need to, everybody be in communication. If something's wrong, let me know. That goes for anything, not just horses. I think that's everything on that. So we will go ahead and stop and we'll pick up on a next segment. Okay, so here's part 2. So we wanted to remind you guys that if you haven't picked up your jackets yet, they are here. They're embroidered, they're good to go, and be sure and pay Kelsey the $30 for those. We would like it in cash, that way we can turn it in and it doesn't have to be like donation or something like that. So if you need to write a check, that's fine too, but either way, just get us the money. So like I said, we wanted to implement some new rules. We were kind of thinking this before everything. This just reinstates that we need to have some guidelines and make sure everybody's on the same page. So the first thing is no working after 8 o'clock. There should be no reason that we're out here till 8 o'clock. Kelsey and I have scheduled the last lessons at 6 o'clock. That means the lesson's over by 7. Things are put up. We should be all out of here by 8 o'clock. That's not to say that there's not going to be a special event, ACUC inspection, something like that, that we don't need to stay. If that's the case, then we'll schedule it where there's a lot of people here. We're all working. We can all get it knocked out. But on a daily basis, there should be no reason that we're staying past 8 o'clock. We also need to not use Texas Tech Equestrian Center equipment. A few things have been broken and we've ended up paying a lot of money for it. I don't mind paying for things when we break them, but I would rather pay for them on our stuff and not theirs. So if you absolutely need something, come find me. I will ask them. But for right now, let's just not use their equipment unless it's absolutely necessary. I know there's been a lot of concern going on with the driving. There's a lot of confusion about the ELD with keeping records of time and driving and all of that. I checked with Michelle, who is our person who handles all of our mileage logs and vehicles and all that good stuff. She said, as of right now, there are no laws stating through the university that there's any sort of time limit or driving limit or anything on state vehicles right now. That doesn't mean that won't change with these new laws that are coming through. But for right now, if we've got to drive 10 hours to Houston, I don't see that happening, but if we've got to drive 10 hours to Houston, there's no rule saying that we can't right now. I'll keep you guys updated if I hear anything else, but that's what she told me, and I'm just going off what she told me. Another thing on driving, please remember that the speed limit on the property is 10 miles an hour. We like people to go slow for our riders, and we need to respect the other riders around here too and not go flying through here. It's for the safety of everybody. I would hate for a ranch horse team kid to come flying by our arena going 30, but then one of us goes flying past ranch horse practice going 30. It's the same thing. So let's just be safe for everybody and, keep it under 10 miles an hour. So I guess we will stop there and pick right back up. Assistant. Okay, part 3. Kelsey's my technical assistant.
That's all
here.
I'm doing right now. I'll start talking later.
So we've also gotten a new time clock. They're kind of cracking down on campus about hours and manual checks and everything. So we really, really, really need to stay on top of keeping track of hours. So we've got a time clock. The garage door isn't opening, so we figured everybody would be coming through the front door. That being said, we put the time clock right there. Everybody has a time card already filled out for you. Be sure and clock in when you get here and when you leave. That just helps us have documentation that yes, you were here. These are the hours you worked. So that when campus comes back and asks, we can have that. If you can also make sure that you're turning in your time on time. Anytime somebody does a manual check, there's a ton of paperwork that they have to do on campus, and then there's a ton of paperwork I have to do on campus. So if you could get your hours in when they're due, that would save a lot of paperwork and a lot of time. They really don't want to do any more manual checks if possible. All that being said, please only work the hours that you are scheduled. I've worked really hard not to cut anybody. We have a budget for the year. We're doing okay right now. That doesn't mean in, a month or two that we won't be. You never know what's going to come up as far as expenses and everything. So we really need to stick to that schedule. There may be times when I need, somebody to stay extra. I will let you know, or if for some reason you need to stay extra, check with me before you do. This way we can keep everybody on staff, and we can also keep everybody under 20 hours and have everybody on that too. So as far as time off goes, a lot of people here recently have been asking me for time off like the day before or the day of. That puts me in a bind for trying to find somebody to cover or to get the job done or whatever. So we're going to put in place that you have to give us at least 2 weeks notice before you take time off. We need this in an email form so that we've got it in writing, and then remind us once it's approved that you will be gone. So send it to both the TTRC address so that Kelsey has it, and then email it to me too. That way there's 2 people that have it, there's 2 people that know, and then remind us, a couple days before you leave, hey, I'm heading out on Friday, I won't be here, whatever. But that just makes sure that we're all on the same page and that we have time to get things covered. Speaking of that, if you're going to be gone, it is your responsibility to find somebody to cover your shift, whether that's feeding, schooling, your lessons, whatever. You need to find somebody to cover those. So just make sure that you're doing that. As far as feeding, we need to have the horses fed no later than 8 o'clock of a morning and no later than 5 o'clock at night. I realize that we'll have lessons and, some of them may be in a lesson at 5 o'clock or, 4 o'clock, whatever. But just as soon as they're done with that, we need to have them fed. So if y'all can have them fed by 8 o'clock of the morning, that means every horse is eating by 8 o'clock, and then have them fed by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that would be great. Okay, so I've already lost track. I think this is the fourth one that we're doing. We're gonna have a lot of these apparently.
Yeah.
So we just talked about feeding. As far as blankets go, we need to leave those on anytime it's below 50 degrees. We're just gonna call 50 the cutoff point. I will not wear a blanket. He shredded one, so unless it gets down to the teens or below zero, I don't think we're even gonna try and put one on him. But leave everybody else's blanket on until it hits 50 degrees. Now, Queen and the Gypsies, we can probably take off, a little sooner, but everybody else needs theirs on until at least 50. We also just turn Nitro out with his blanket on until you hear differently from me. Always keep his blanket on. I will let you know when it's good to take it off. Let's see, we're kind of skipping around a little bit, but I know a lot of you guys are wanting to learn how to drive the truck and the trailer or the tractor. I'm going to make an executive decision and say, let me teach you. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not saying I know it all, but I know the equipment pretty well. I've driven that truck and trailer since it's been here. I've got a lot of miles underneath that. So check with me if you want to set up a time. We can definitely do that. I'd love to have people that are comfortable driving the truck and trailer as well as the tractor. So please schedule that with me. Don't go, find Kelsey to help you learn to drive the truck and trailer.
Oh gosh, please
I love
don't
that it
do
was
that.
a shock to her there, but
Please don't do that.
just get with me about any kind of driving training that you want to do. As far as arena dragging, I know last year, towards the end, it was getting really deep. We were hitting the foundation. A lot of rocks were coming up. We really need to make sure that that's shallow enough that, therapists and instructors and volunteers can walk in. We had volunteers that were coming to Kelsey saying that, normally they could do 2 or 3 lessons in a row, and they were only able to do 1 lesson. Well, that knocks us out of a volunteer for 2 lessons. So we need to keep it a little more shallow. I drug it last week and it actually worked really well. So what I'll do is I'll get with you guys that are dragging and I'll show you kind of how I want it drug. It's for the safety of the horses, the volunteers, the riders, everybody. It's nice that it's nice and fluffy, but at the same point, it's hard on the horses. It's hard on the volunteers. And we can't be losing horses or volunteers for that reason. So, like I said, I'll get with you guys that drag and kind of show y'all. I know I'm being a little bit, hands-on and micromanaging that, but it's a really important part of our program, and it's important to the people that are walking in it and the horses. So make sure you check with me on that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is Spring Roundup. Spring Roundup will be held on May the 4th. And I would like for everybody to get at least 2 silent auction items, or live auction items. I think back in an email I said if you got at least $1,000 worth of silent or live auction stuff that the center would pay for you to go to Spring Roundup, and you don't have to work. You can sit at the table and enjoy Spring Roundup and, not have to bust tables or whatever. So please be thinking about that. Any money that we get goes first off to that fence that we're building, and second off goes right back to the program. So we really need to make sure that we're working hard to get that. We were lucky this year that we got it so early so we can catch some people that we didn't last year. So I would, last year we were shooting for 10,000 and we made 13. I'm jumping the gun a little bit and being optimistic, but I'd like to hit 30,000 this year. I think it's doable. So let's all kind of try and get together and get those. If you need the Spring Roundup information, I've got that I can email you. Just let me know. To go back to some of the new rules, no riding after hours. I don't care if you're a schooler, instructor, whoever. No riding after hours or weekends unless it's cleared by me. You know, if you're going to take a lesson with Danica on Saturday morning, then that's fine. Just let me know and let me know who you're going to ride so that we can be on the same page. If you are here, whether it's during, you know, regular hours, whether I've cleared you to ride on the weekend, whatever, make sure that you are with someone. Even if you're working, you know, ground school on a horse, make sure that someone is with you. You know, we go back to last week, you know, if somebody hadn't been here, what happens, all that, you know, so make sure that somebody is with you when you're working with horses in any aspect.
And also, I'm just going to interrupt. I don't know if it's on Tangie's list or not, but we also talked about everyone keeping their phones on them. Because if Morgan had not had her phone on her, I don't know when she would have been found after getting injured. But luckily she had her phone and she was able to call Zan. So just everyone, make sure you have your phones on you at all times. And hopefully that'll keep everyone a little safer as well.
And, you know, that way you can call one of us. You can call an ambulance if you need to. I also wanted to address that, you know, you are covered by workman's comp when you are out here working. Now, if you're out here and you're doing something on your personal stuff, you know, you're not covered. But if you're doing something for the center and you're on the clock, you are covered by workman's comp. So don't think that, oh, I can't go to the doctor because I can't pay $200 for an ER visit, or I can't afford the ambulance. You know, sometimes you need an ambulance to come get you, and that's okay. That's why we're covered by workman's comp. I also wanted to address, you know, last week when Morgan had to go to the ER, we started at UMC and their wait was 6 hours. Well, Covenant's was 8 hours, partly because everybody had the flu. We ended up at Star ER, one of the corner ERs, and they were able to get her through all the tests done and transferred within 2 hours. And, you know, she would have still been waiting in the waiting room at one of the other ones. So consider that if you ever have to go. I promise I'm not getting paid by anybody. It sounds like an endorsement, but
this video is not sponsored.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm endorsing them, but you know, they were quicker, they were efficient, and they got her in way quicker than UMC or Covenant could, and they got her transferred to a hospital. So just think about that if something does happen. Okay, so another rule that we're kind of hoping to get started is when people are lunging. I know there's been a question in the past, like, do we wear helmets? Do we wear gloves? I think our safest bet is yes. Helmets are an obvious one. Gloves, we actually, from our feed sponsor, Total Equine, they gave us roping gloves. They're sitting on the table in the living room. They're not the best gloves, but they beat your hands getting rope burned, you know, for some reason you get pulled or dragged or something. So pick up a set of gloves, claim them as your own, wear gloves when you're lunging. Like I said, no lessons after hour or no riding after hours. Also, no after work lessons. I got wind last semester of several people getting lessons after hours. First off, that puts us at a big risk as far as, Kelsey and I had no clue that was happening. And second off, we could have had something scheduled down there and then, somebody comes in and lessons are going on when we've told them that the arena's free. So, make sure that, if you want to take lessons, get with us. We will get you with, Danica's our first choice because she knows what we're doing. Chance is another good one. So, if you are riding after hours or something, it's okay if it's with one of them. But just let me know. That way we know that, oh, Ike is, in a lesson. That's fine. That's where he's supposed to be when I get a call saying you're missing a horse, So that we just need to be on the same page on that. Lesson plans will need to be turned in every Friday. We've got binders for everybody. We've got binders for all the horses and all the instructors. Instructors will need to have your lesson plans turned in by the Friday of the week that they're in. So every Friday, just turn in your lesson plans. You can put them in your binder. You can hand them to Kelsey. Just make sure that they are into us by that Friday. That way, when it gets to be December, or May in this case, we're not looking at you going, okay, we need a semester's worth of notes. Mm-hmm. So if we can get those in every Friday, that would be great.
And just the reason being for that is because once we get those lesson plans, I'll compile them together and then put them in the rider's files because that is required. And for reaccreditation, I had to scramble and try to get lesson plans from people. So we're hoping, even though there's still some time before the next reaccreditation, that we'll have things more organized and it'll be a little easier.
And we're also going to do new evaluations for all the riders before they come back for the spring semester. We are going to tell them in that evaluation that, you know, if they're in therapeutic riding, they're learning how to ride a horse, they need to have boots. So that being said, they'll all wear real stirrups, no more safety stirrups. There may be one or two cases that are different, but as far as we can see from the schedule, everybody should be able to wear regular Western stirrups and have boots. So we'll talk to them about that, but we wanted to pass that information along to you guys. Okay, another thing that I wanted to bring up, it's springtime. It's getting to, or it's still winter, I guess, but it's going to be springtime. We need to start thinking about, you know, making the sensory trail pretty again, making everything pretty again. We've got a lot of donors coming out because of the new building. We've got a potential donor here in the next several weeks that should be coming out that they could potentially give us $25,000. That's a lot. We need to have this place looking nice every day now, just because we never know. You know, there's a guy on our board that will call us at 8 o'clock, you know, on Monday morning and say, we'll be out at 10. Well, that's great that he's finding us money and that it's that quick. But, you know, if the place looks terrible, we don't want to show that off and say, this is where your money's going. Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure that everything's picked up. We need to get that concrete out of there by where the old fence was. We need to get all that trash gone. We need to make sure that we're not driving on the sensory trail. I know there's been times where, you know, over by the arena's been flooded, but we really need to try hard not to drive on the sensory trail because it's going to create ruts, and we need for that to look nice too, because that's one of our selling points to people is that sensory trail, and if it looks bad, then that looks bad for us. So new paperwork, we need to get new paperwork on everybody out here. I don't care if you fill it out in November. I need you to fill out a brand new packet, get with Kelsey, she's got it all. And I also need you to sign the new ACUC signature page. That is sitting on the table in the living room. So we need to do those things. As far as the round pins go, I was told the other day that we are only allowed to use the original round pin. That's the one by the breeding barn. We are not allowed to use the colt breaking pins. Those were bought and paid specifically for colt breaking and the ranch horse team. So the only round pin we have access to is that original one by the breeding barn. If it's taken up, then, you know, you're just going to have to wait or lunge them somewhere, something like that. So there's that on that. If you break something, let me know. I'm not going to get mad. You know, I'm not going to make you pay $10,000 to fix something. We just need to get it fixed, especially if it's something from the equestrian center. I want to stay on great terms with them. If you break something and I have to find out about it from them 3 weeks later, that's not going to look very good for you. So if you break something, let me know. You know, and I was joking with Kelsey. I said, I think the next thing on my list should be don't break things. You know, treat things like they are yours. Treat things like you are having to pay for them and you're having to pay for the repairs. I'm not going to make you pay for the repairs, but I think if you think that way and you feel that I have to pay for this, this is my personal stuff, you'll treat it better. If it looks like we're treating everything good, you know, if that pickup's clean all the time, if the trailer looks good, people are going to tend to give us money and to support us more if they think we take care of the stuff that we've got. Okay, so I know that, you know, we've kind of been a little lax on this lately, but I want to get back to, you know, if you've got a class at 4, I want those horses in there warming up no later than 3:45. You know, if that means you have to come grab a feeder or, you know, somebody else to lead until the volunteers get there, then do that. You know, this makes sure that the horses sound, that the horses see everything, you know. We want to make sure that we're setting them up for success to set our riders up for success. This includes therapeutic riding and hippo. So if you've got either one of those, have that horse in there warming up. It's not fair to them to make them go work when they haven't gotten to warm up yet. be like us going without our hot chocolate or coffee or Dr. Pepper of a morning. So make sure that you're giving them plenty of time to warm up. Kelsey and I have talked. She is sending an email to the volunteers, and she's going to ask them if they can try and be here a little earlier, 20, 30 minutes. That way they can help you guys get ready. Be patient with them. Most of our volunteers are new. That being said, they're not going to know where Western 5 is, okay? So be patient with them, teach them. That's what we're here to do, is teach, okay? If they ask a question that seems dumb to you, it's not dumb to them because they don't know, okay? Think back to the first time you came out here. You didn't know where the sensory trail was. You didn't know who Abe was, okay? So be patient with them. Help them learn. If we can teach them, that makes them better volunteers. That makes our program better, okay? If they see something, Kelsey told them, if they see something that's not right, to come find you guys. That doesn't mean you shut them down and say, well, that's just how Abe is. Take it into consideration that they may actually have seen something. They may not know what they're talking about, and that's okay. But just reassure them that, oh, yeah, Abe does that from time to time, but thanks for telling me, because they see these horses once, twice a week. We see them pretty much every day. To us, that may be something that's normal. To them, they're seeing Abe trip for the first time when we know that he's just long and his shoes just need to be changed. So be nice to them. Treat them good. Remember that they are not paid. They are volunteers.
I was going to add one more thing, if that's okay. Just so you guys are kind of aware, I know I've told a few of you, but in my orientations, and I'm actually going to be holding one this Saturday, but in my orientations, I give people a whole introduction as to what our center is and what we do out here, and then obviously I do a lot of talking to them about sidewalking. And whenever I'm giving a tour of the facility, I obviously show them the main things, but I do tell them to ask you guys for anything, because y'all are the staff here. Y'all work here. You know what's going on. And so I always tell them, if you can't find me, to ask a staff member. So like Tangi said, they might have some questions that you're thinking, oh, that is so silly. Why would you ask that? But to them, it seems serious. And hopefully if they're asking you, they're following what I've told them to do. So
and if they're asking you, then they feel comfortable with you, and that's what we want. We want everybody to feel comfortable out here. We don't want anybody to feel like, oh, I have to go volunteer. Like, we want people to be like, oh, I get to go volunteer today, So just make them feel at home, help them learn. Like I said, we all started out here at one point and didn't know up from down out here. I did. So just help them out.
Yeah, and just one more thing. At the end of the day, if we get more volunteers, then that's less struggle for us to have to run down there. Tangi to have to go jump in and lead, or me to go sidewalk, or other instructors to take their little break and go help out. So the nicer we are to volunteers, hopefully the more we'll keep, and we'll be good to go.
Okay, so to pick up where Kelsey left off, she was saying that the more volunteers we have, the less we have to jump in. I don't mind sidewalking at all. I don't mind leading. It's actually, I would rather be down there than doing grant paperwork up here, to be honest with you. However, that being said, I don't think any of us are above leading or sidewalking, okay? I hate to pull the boss card here, but I'm the program director, and as long as I'm willing to lead and sidewalk, I feel like everybody that works here can do that. If the top person's willing to do it, then I feel like that's pretty much game for anybody. That's kind of how I feel on a lot of things. I've heard a couple people say that, hippos aren't great, or that they don't like doing hippos, that therapeutics are the only thing that are, those are the better ones or whatever. To be honest with you, hippos actually, the better one, because it may actually lead to us getting payment back. That's what the insurance companies are going to look at. That's what research is looking at right now. Yes, therapeutic riding is great. We know that. We also know that hippotherapy is great, but the industry as a whole is going to look at hippotherapy. So when you're looking at it on paper and what it can refund the center as, hippotherapy is actually the one that gets us back more money. So I don't ever feel like, if I have to jump in for a hippo, I don't feel shortchanged that I'm not teaching, a kid how to lope. I feel like they're equal. I feel like I'm helping a kid regardless, or an adult, regardless of which program they're in. So just remember that when you're doing either one of those. I realize some people are better at hippos, some people are better with therapeutics, Some people are better with 3-year-olds, and some people are better with 70-year-olds. I get that. I have my preferences, but we're overall helping others as a whole, and that's what we have to remember. So let's just keep that in mind when we're out there. Like Kelsey said, have your phone on at all times. Have your phone on you at all times. Please make sure it's charged. I've heard several people in the last, little bit come in and they're like, I have 2% on my phone. I'm going to go down and help with a lesson. Well, that does no good. Make sure it's charged before you get here. Also, on that same note, please don't be, doing a hippo and be talking on your phone. You don't need to be texting or calling somebody while you're teaching a lesson. If you're watching a student instructor teach or something, then yes, you can take notes or whatever. But overall, you need to be paying attention to what's going on in the lesson, to the horses, the riders, everything like that. So let's try really hard to work on that. Like I said, we've got new binders for the horses and the instructors. The instructors are just going to have lesson plans in there. There's blank lesson plan sheets in there. And the horses are going to have new schooling sheets, okay? There's a part for grooming, there's a part for ground schooling, and there's a part for riding, okay? I may ask you just to go ground school somebody, so just fill out the ground schooling part. I may ask you to just go groom somebody and stretch them, then just fill out that part. This way we know that, swinging's sore on the front end just when I stretch him. Well, then maybe we don't need to ride him, So this can help us kind of pinpoint some problems or issues or something, hopefully, before they turn into big problems. I know I've asked before, but I would like to not use any props in the arena, poles, cones, anything like that, unless it's absolutely necessary for classes, for schooling, for anything. If you need something, like if you need to put a pole out to teach a side pass, then absolutely do that. If you need to put a cone out to teach, a turn on the forehand, go for it. But overall, let's try not to use as many props in the arena. Okay, so to pick up where I was left off, I was talking about not using any props in the arena. I would also like to steer clear of any patterns. I've heard several people, they get confused by the patterns. I've had a couple parents ask me if they could get the patterns beforehand so that their kids could learn the pattern before their lessons. That's not what we need to be focusing on. None of our riders are at the point where they are capable of doing everything in the patterns. That's why we haven't done anything with Chisholm and patterns. I'm trying to stay away from trail. Those are advanced moves, and honestly, none of our kids are there yet. Now, are there the things from a pattern that you can take and work on? Absolutely. If you want to work on backing through an L, then yes, go ahead and do an L in your lesson. If you want to work on weaving cones, then yes, do that. But as an overall, let's not do patterns because, like I said, it's getting confusing for the riders. The volunteers have told Kelsey, the leaders are confused, they don't know the pattern. So I think it's just best if we don't do that. We do have the 101 arena exercises. I would love for you guys to use that not only for your lessons, but for schooling as well. That way we can keep, everybody on the same page. It's got some really good stuff in there. Some of it's very basic, but if you think about it, if you go back to the basics and you master the basics, then you can go forward and master bigger things. So I think that's what we need to focus on with our personal riding, with our riders riding, with our schoolers, with our horses. Focus on the basics. Let's not get into, they can't leg yield. Well, how many of our riders leg yield right now? Yes, we've got horses that can do that down there, but does Abe really need to know how to leg yield when he's mainly hippo kids? No. Yes, it's a nice break for him, but, focus on the basics and let's get those mastered and then we'll work our way up. Let's see. A random note, tell us if anything arrives here, any packages, boxes, anything like that. A lot of the times they are not ours. They're the equestrian centers and they just dropped it off here because the gate's not done and they dropped it off at a house. So let us know. We don't know unless y'all tell us. Mm-hmm. We found a box that had been here for 3 weeks?
Yeah, Patsy just called me and asking if we had a box, and I just poked my head around in the garage and found the box. So,
and they told me that it it showed that it had been delivered 3 weeks ago. And so none of us knew that it was there. And we were just glad we found it for them, but they needed it this weekend.
Yeah.
So just let us know if anything comes in. We can get it to the right place.
And don't feel bad if you tell us and we're like, oh yeah, we know it's there. That's fine.
Yeah.
We'd rather, tell each other something a million times.
Right.
And know where it is than
it to sit there forever. So. Okay, so like I said, there's a million of us out here now. It's nobody's fault, but sometimes I come in and I'm like, oh, Kelsey took Kelsey will take the trash out. I'll just leave it for her. And then she comes in and she's like, oh, Brooklyn will take the trash out. I'll just, leave it for her. Or Brooklyn comes in and by the end of the day, we've got trash all over the place. Nobody's taking the trash out. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just everybody assumed that someone else was doing it. That being said, we're trying to be more organized around here. Me mainly. Kelsey already is. I'm just trying to be more organized. So I made a new chore list for the week. Everything is assigned, and I will do that week by week because, it's not fair that I have to clean the office bathroom every week, or Kelsey has to clean, the new bathrooms every week or something. We'll try to make it fair. Some of it's just going to be, it is what it is. You can't change that. I'm going to try and switch it up a little bit every week, but, feeders are going to feed and clean, and that is what it is. So, just check that every week. It'll have pretty much the same task, just maybe different people here and there, but, it'll be on there. I also have a new feed checklist. This will kind of help us with who fed, what got fed, and to make sure that people are getting what they need and that we don't forget anybody, anything like that. We have switched to, instead of feeding alfalfa flakes, we are feeding an alfalfa cube. We're going to see how that works for about a month. It's called Hayrite. So instead of alfalfa, the bells, we'll just have bags of cubes. It's a little bit cheaper. It's more uniform. I'm hoping the horses will adapt to it. They're having a little bit of a hard time right now trying to figure out how to eat it and that it's not a flake of hay and stuff. So, but we did switch to that. I'm still waiting on my Cosequin to come in. I will let you guys know when that happens. But on that feed checklist, it shows everything that needs to be fed to everybody. Please don't forget the Prevocox. I'm getting some today for all of them. It's Ringo, Swingin, and Ike that get that. So please make sure they get that once a day. There's also a new horse list. Basically, the only one that's not on there right now is Patriot. Remedy should be going home soon, hopefully.
And I was just going to ask, where the list going to be? Like the checklist?
The checklist should stay in here on my desk after every feeding. So that'll be there as far and as well as the chore list. So
okay.
Those should be here. So that's pretty much all in the new paperwork. If you have any questions, if something is on there and you just physically you can't do it or something's wrong or, something like that, come to me, we'll get it fixed. So, okay, so I wanted to kind of go over again kind of what everybody's responsibilities are. Kelsey and I are the only full-time people out here, so that leaves a lot of room for, a lot of other people. I wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page before everything got started. I don't want there to be any hard feelings. Just because you are a feeder, don't take that personally that I don't think you can handle horses. Just because you're a schooler, don't think that I don't think you can feed horses. If you're an instructor, don't think that I don't think you can ride. Don't take any of it personally. I'm just trying to put people where they thrive the best. We've got some amazingly talented people out here. I think I've said it before, I think this is the most talented group of people and horses I have ever been a part of. That's a great thing. I am so thankful that Kelsey and I don't have to do it all. And we've got good hands down there. That being said, I can't have everybody feeding and riding and teaching. It's just not possible. You would be at 50 hours a week. We are lucky that we have such great talent. We're lucky that we have people out here that we don't have to do 4,000 different jobs. So I wanted to go over who's instructors, who's schoolers, who's feeders, all that good stuff so that we're all on the same page. Please don't be mad at each other. Don't be mad at us. Like I said, we're just trying to make it work and put people in the best place. So as far as instructors goes, it's Zan, Caitlin Foss, Cami, Sariana, Morgan, and Caitlin Reimer. We do have 2 Caitlins, so please specify when you're talking. The schoolers will be Sophie, Elizabeth, Sally Jane, Peyton, and Brooklyn. We'll have a separate video for you guys because I want to go over each horse, what we want, and what goals we have for each of those. I'd like to set up a meeting for you guys just so we can kind of pinpoint what each one is going on, or what's going on with each one there. And then feeders and grounds crew, Sam Odorizzi, Sam Parker, Tanner, Jeremy, and then Joey's got the weekends for the most part. Like I said, I don't think anybody's better at one thing than the other. It's just where people thrive and where we need them the most, okay? So, I think we've got a good group out here. I think, you know, we have, I know that I've heard it for 5 years, I tell you guys, but we've got the potential to be an amazing center. And I think we get closer to that each semester. You know, I haven't heard any complaining. I haven't heard any problems yet, but I want to nix that before we even get into this semester. If there are any problems, horses, staff, riders, volunteers, whatever, come to me and Kelsey and let's get it knocked out before it even gets started, okay? I want us to work together as a team. We are a team. We are a family out here. That's how I see it. That's how Kelsey sees it. That's how we should all see it. You know, when Morgan got hurt, I told her, I said, I feel like your mom because I felt like one of my kids was down. Same thing with Zan. You know, she joked with me that she felt like, you know, I was still Mother Goose. That's what I feel like sometimes. That being said, I think we should all treat each other like that. Be there for each other. Help each other out. We are in an industry where we help people and we want to help others. And it blows my mind, you know, not here specifically, but in this whole industry, everybody's at each other's throat. And that's really crazy that we're in an industry that helps people, but we want to cut people down and we want to, you know, get at everybody. So let's be that change here at this center so that maybe it goes, you know, out into other centers and we send you guys out being that change that needs to happen. So I'll get off my soapbox now, but
I was just going to say one more thing. Like Tangi said, if y'all have problems with anything, come tell either one or both of us. And I know there's a lot of times you guys tell me things that I can't help with myself, but I can definitely relay the information to someone who can or find someone else who can help. But obviously if it's directly volunteer related, that would be me. But anything else, I can always find someone who can help you guys.
So you'll be happy to know that this is the very last one. Thank you guys for listening to us ramble and talk.
I just kind of sat here. I didn't do much. I just hit play and pause.
And I got on my soapbox a couple times. So thank you guys for taking the time. Again, I'm sorry that we weren't able to meet face to face. I know you guys don't like the long emails, so this was my solution for this time. I would like to... you know, try and get together once a month if possible, just so that we can all stay on the same page, catch up. You know, so let me know if we'll try to figure something out and see what we can make happen. We cannot stress it enough. If there's something broken in any form or fashion, if there's anything wrong, please tell us. We cannot fix what we don't know is broken, okay? Whether it be a tractor actually broken or a relationship, you know, an instructor, rider, feeder.
A broken instructor.
Sorry, Morgan. Anyhow, we can't fix what we don't know is broken. So let us know. We'll deal with it. If you have any questions, any concerns over anything you've seen in the videos, please feel free to reach out to us. We're not trying to hide behind a camera. This was the easiest way to do it, to get everybody. Please come and find us for paperwork.
And I also need to get from some of you, there were 3 questions that we wanted you guys to give us answers to so that we could post like a little blurb about you on Facebook with our new pictures that Morgan took of everybody. So I'll be asking you guys for that. It's just like, you know, what got you started out here? How long have you been here? And who's your favorite horse? So it's pretty simple, but I really do want to compile a cool Facebook post just to kind of introduce everyone to all the instructors and
we're proud of y'all. We want to show y'all off, so we want to get all the information correct and not just say, oh, yeah, they're from, you know, somewhere that we don't know. I will also send a verification email after you've watched this. We're just going to have you sign that and put it in your file. That way we can say we actually did have a meeting, even though we're not actually meeting, but we did discuss everything, and that y'all are aware of the policies that we put out there, and that you'll abide by them to the best of your ability and all that good stuff. So check your email. It'll be coming in a little bit. Hopefully. So thank y'all again. We look forward to a great semester. We're excited to see all y'all. We were hoping we'd see y'all today, but anyway, we'll have a good semester and get started off on the right foot. So
that's it.
We'll see y'all sometime.
Bye.
Bye.